Alright. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. Actually, let me close this door. Because my parents are asleep. Anyway, alright. I'm writing a paper on Heinrich Ibsen's A Doll's House. Analyzing his theme. And I'm having so many epiphanies right now, and I want to record them. Because I probably won't remember in the morning. But I do remember seeing an argument on realism versus idealism. And that shouldn't be really much of an argument, but let me try to relate what I know from this play, from my own experiences, to this argument. A Doll's House is about this woman named Nora, who at the beginning of the play seems like a ditzy, childish girl, although she's married and she has children. This play was written in the Victorian times, 19th century, mid-1800s, and it was one of the first plays. This author was the first to use dramatic monologue, aka real life situations, real life language. And it was more experimental than actual, this is going to work. So the audience was very outraged, not only because it defied everything at the time, but the fact that it concludes with Nora walking out on her husband, her children, and her life, which is unheard of at the time. Because at the time, women were dependent upon men. They had no chance to earn a living unless they did side works like stitching, nannying. Even that, you couldn't really be self-sufficient unless you were really. Anyway, back to the original statement. Nora evolves from this ditzy girl into a independent woman. And when I first read the very ending, I thought to myself, how immature can you get? I mean, tough situation, so you leave your home, your whole life, your husband, your children. I did not relate to her. But after I've been reading this thing over and over, I've seen critics, and it is actually necessary for her to do so. Her whole marriage was an illusion. She liked the idea of him, and her husband Torvald liked the idea of her. He viewed her as a bride, a young, beautiful bride, and an exotic pet. He belittled her all the time, calling her little spendthrift, little lark. And this play, the stage direction, is full of symbolism. The symbols, there's all over. There's many themes. The theme I'm choosing is realism. But as I was saying, he viewed her as a pet, she viewed him as a knight in shining armor. And when his chance comes to be that knight in shining armor, he fails and blames her, because that was the practice at the time, and that's how Torvald felt. And it is at this point that she realizes that the picture she painted in her head is not what it is. And that brings me to realism versus idealism. The theme of this play, one of them, I say again, is realism, because the plot and the language is real, dramatic monologue, real. Unheard of at the time. And so it lends itself to the idea that the theme would be realism, because by the end of the story, all the other characters who have been painting or who have been telling Nora realistic visions, like friend Christine telling her real story, except about how her brothers, she has to support her brothers and her dying mother. She made an illusion. She made an image. Dr. Rank dying. She took it lightly. She made an illusion, helped cover it up. By the end, she realizes that you can't just conform. You have to question things. You can't just accept things. So at the end of the play, she leaves, meaning she sees the reality in things and she accepts it, and you must accept reality in order to survive and really grow and mature. And idealism versus realism. Idealism is painting a picture. You can't base your life off idealism. And I know this now. Idealism and realism is not seeing good and seeing bad. Realism is not seeing the bad in things. It's seeing the truth. Idealism is seeing the best case scenario. And while it's nice, it almost never happens. It is something to shoot for. You should always shoot for the ideal situation. And build and work towards it. And that's what makes us human, is we can think and imagine things being better. And it's also human to look at real facts and use this realism to work towards it. So it's not so much of an argument as much as yin and yang, working together to get somewhere. So that's about all I have. I wanted to record it because I'll probably forget in the morning. I'll just leave you with the thought that realism is what we live, or what you should live and plan on, and idealism is what you should shoot for. And that they're not co-opposites, they're related. And to say that they're totally different, I'm a realist, I'm an idealist, if you say either one, you're at a disadvantage. You should be both a realist and an idealist. That's about all I have. Tell me what you think.